just had an interesting chat with Wade Oranger there about the revitalised Speed Week and all that stuff, and how they looked at formats and how to keep drivers happy and fans happy. It's an interesting topic, how you compose your event, or how your format runs, and how many classes you have on the night, and probably something that has been looked at by a lot of venues around the country, but some that definitely still need to look at it. I guess from your point of view, you're someone that does that week in, week out with 20-odd race meetings a season at your venue, and you've got a pretty wide variety. Some nights there's 2, 3, 4 classes on. Some nights there's 6 or 7. I guess some of those factors that you look in, is it based on what you're trying to achieve with the meeting, or is it more based on, hey, we need a certain number of cars here per night? Or on your side, what's the first protocol? Is it what the meeting's supposed to be? Is it supposed to be a big, exciting meeting, that type of thing?
Yeah, it is. So there's 2 things. Some nights are about the front gate, about entertainment, showcasing the sport, taking the entertainment package to the extreme. There's other nights, without being rude, are lesser nights that have to facilitate the hobby for the sport that it is. So it's important to get that balance, particularly at Toowoomba, with given post Archerfield and the number of competitors. So there's 500 odd licence holders around the Brisbane, catchment sort of area. They all need to race regularly, or they're lost to the sport. So, having said that, we still need to pay the bills, and so it's a very big juggling act when you do the calendar. So I put my calendar together and work out rough car counts. I started a couple of seasons ago. Some of the car counts were quite low. We were 5, 6 divisions a night pretty consistently, even with sprint cars. This season, for example, we're back to 3 and 4 divisions a night. We're still over programmed. So next season, I need to readjust some of those bigger nights again to be back to probably 3 divisions, because it just opens up a can of worms. So you have best intentions. You can put every strategy and everything in play that you want to how the meeting goes, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way, Jared.
Well, and it can be simple things like, hey, there's rain coming. What do we do with that? If you have a program where you've got 1 main class and 3 or 4 support classes as a whole, you can look at shuffling that program, getting the main class done and dusted early. If there's an ambulance emergency in the crowd, you can mitigate that at some race meetings and have an extra ambulance available at a great cost to the venue. If there's a catch fence that needs fixing, all that sort of stuff, when you have to make time decisions on, hey, we've got to get this on, and thankfully we don't have a curfew at Toowoomba, the venue that we're talking about at the moment, but you don't want people sitting on the hill at 11 o'clock at night. They want to be home.
That's right. That's exactly right. I've got young kids. Our audience is getting younger, which is exciting as well. With the marketing and stuff that we've been doing. So we want people to be home at a reasonable hour. I think it's important that the sprint car feature races are on at 9:30. They should be all finished and done by 10 o'clock. Sometimes it's not possible. You can't start any earlier because those things don't work all the time either.
Correct.
Because the racetrack then cops up hiding. There's a lot of things to consider.
Well, there's a little bit of a balancing act too. Like, obviously you're speaking on behalf of a promoter venue at the moment. You've worked in the past at a club run venue, where probably more a club run venue, which is, I would say 85% of our speedways around the country are club run venues. They're more to facilitate for their members. Here's your racetrack to race on for the weekend, but we also need to put on a show for the people that are paying to be on the hill. So it's a bit of a balancing act for those guys too. Like, a lot of club run venues go, well, here's our normal divisions that run every night. We put all 6 on, and we put a feature class on there. And sometimes they're finding they have to start at 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon, and the racing product isn't as good because they've started so early because they're trying to finish by their curfew that's 10:30 at night. It's a very tough balancing act on that side. And I guess the juxtaposition, that those clubs have to put themselves in with their club members and drivers. They go, hey, we understand you're doing this for a hobby, but this is our one big showcase night for the year. Do you mind if we have a few less divisions on? And whether that works as a rotation for those drivers or not, it's a really tricky spot to put in, because we're talking for the 10 or 20% that might come to 1 or 2 race meetings a year, the 1 or 2 really big race meetings a year at those venues. You don't want to sour that taste by going, here's 8 hours of racing and 6 hours of it was probably unnecessary. It was only 2 hours worth of really important racing. But the drivers that make up the racing week in, week out, they've got to have somewhere to race their cars as well, Ryan.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And it rains and you need to cut division, so it would be easy to go, I'm just going to run sprint cars, late models and speed cars on a night. all big divisions, cool, happy days. That's fine until something goes wrong, and then I've got to cut someone's laps, or I've got to swap something around, or someone's got to go out in the grease because it rained. So that stuff all is very relative and very real, and there's a lot of swimming under the water per se on race nights when you got to make some big decisions, and you always upset people.
Yeah.
And it's just the nature of the beast, but there's a lot of things to consider. So, it's a tough deal. Less is more. A lot more now. We've got big screens at venues and entertainment packages and great commentary teams and stuff. It certainly takes the pressure off because you've got the opportunity to fill when you need to. For me, unpopular opinion, I would love Speedway to be 3 or 4 hours maximum.
Yep.
Would be absolutely in my perfect world, with a little bit of time to fill, massive opening ceremony when it should be, and then do what you need to do. One heat race is plenty, honestly.
We've seen a little bit of that with Avalon's format this year, so it's something to ponder. It's something for the Speedway community to think about and just be a little bit more understanding. Hey, there's different reasons that different clubs are in different formats. Some clubs or tracks are trying to do stuff for entertainment and excitement. Some are trying to facilitate racing for their drivers as well. So there's two different avenues of thought to look down.
That's right.
Either way, there's plenty to talk about. But thank you for tuning in to Speedway Nation on the SEN Network. Massive thanks to Clayview for their support as well. We'll be back with another episode next fortnight.